begins amidst the jaws of death, where there is no mercy for the newborn. Killer instinct or maternal love, which will prevail? Leave your predictions below and stay tuned for the Nature Animal. Wild Savanna, deadly predators versus baby animals. On the chessboard of survival of the savannah, the Maasai giraffe stands as a giant watchtower. But to claim that sovereignty, they must survive one of the most brutal births in the natural world. The future generation of giraffes is sown from brutal wars. Civil wars fought between 1.5-ton male giants, necking. The giraffe's skull accumulates calcium into rock-hard bone masses. The 2-meter-long neck transforms into a biological spiked mace. The centrifugal force from the neck swings, generates enough kinetic energy to cause internal trauma to the opponent. There is absolutely no mercy. Only the victor earns the right to continue the bloodline. But a grim reality awaits the future giraffe generation. After 15 months in the womb, they enter the world with a 2-meter drop. The fragile skeletal system must immediately bear the burden of a 60-kilogram body on trembling legs. The heart must pump blood against gravity to the brain at a pressure twice that of a human just to maintain consciousness. If they are not quick, the young ones will never have the chance to tread the savanna grass again. Do not let Hollywood deceive you. Hyenas are not mere lurkers waiting for carrion left behind by other predators. In reality, 95% of their meals come from active hunting, with a staggering success rate of 74%. Typically, a hyena hunt is a long-distance endurance chase. A massive heart, constituting nearly 1% of they decide to retreat. There is no shame, for they are accustomed to the brutality of the savannah. Hyenas have had to fight for survival from the moment of birth. Siblings tear into each other to compete for the protein-rich mother's milk. About 25% of hyena cubs die from being killed or starved by their own siblings in the first weeks. The phenomenon of neonatal siblicide is nature's most ruthless rule of elimination. As for the giraffe, today is perhaps a lucky day. But the vast savannah still harbors many other risks. Lions are one of them. When the scorching heat of the summer noon paralyzes every sense, the royal family of the savannah commences the hunt. Unlike hyenas that rely on endurance, lions are masters of the art of ambush and explosive power. A muscular structure, accounting for a large proportion of the body, allows them to reach speeds of 80 kilometers per hour is the wisest decision. The defensive kicks of the prey begin to make the lions wary. The giraffe's rear leg musculature is designed like compressed springs, storing energy for explosive release. A single precise kick is sufficient for the mother and calf pair to make their escape. The lion pride, accustomed to the status of dominant rulers, is left shaken by this ferocious resistance. Their perfect hunting formation is shattered, their coordination dissolving against the prey's sheer will to survive. They pant heavily, casting a regretful gaze toward the two giraffes fading into the distance. A disastrous start to the hunt. If you were a giraffe facing a predator on the savanna, would you choose to fight a lion or a hyena? Leave your choice in the comment section below. But the cubs are still waiting for the lioness to bring home a meal. And fortunately, the greatest migration of the African savanna has appeared. On the survival stage of East Africa, the Great Migration resembles a massive military campaign. Over 1.5 million wildebeest assemble into an expeditionary force to cross the lands of death. They seek out greener pastures. Their survival tactic relies on the law of predator satiation. Sheer numbers will saturate the hunting capacity of the enemy. Hundreds of thousands of calves are born simultaneously within a 2 to 3 week window. This is how survival rates through the hunting storm are guaranteed. But for the lion pride, this congestion is nothing short of a lavish feast served on a platter. And the slow, straggling calves are the main course of that banquet. Not succumb easily. They are biological tanks weighing up to 250 kilograms. The alarm signal spreads through the herd swarm intelligence faster than any telecommunications network. Curved horns and solid muscle mass, forged over thousands of miles, are pointed straight at the enemy. The wildebeest calf has returned to the safety of the family circle. That marks the end of the lion's hunt. They dare not gamble with fate, for the risk of being trampled under thousands of hooves is all too real. The lion pride watches in helplessness, realizing their power has limits against the strength of unity. In this kingdom, a unified collective is an impregnable fortress. Unity has forced even the apex predators to bow their heads. Not far away, another fearsome predator of the savanna is facing a similar plight. The cheetah. This is the most perfect speed machine nature has ever designed, a living Ferrari running on flesh and blood. A spine flexible as a coiled spring, and non-retractable claws provide absolute traction. In just 3 seconds, it can accelerate to 112 kilometers per hour. That speed allows them to target agile prey like the impala. The cheetah activates. It watches in helplessness as the impala calf returns to the safety of the family circle. As for the cheetah, this injury is nothing short of a death sentence. Even if it survives, it will no longer possess the ability to hunt. Once again, maternal love has spoken. That invisible strength has become the most formidable weapon against the savanna's apex predators. Lion, cheetah, and spotted hyena, which predator impressed you the most? Leave your comment below. But not every mother chooses the path of confrontation. Sometimes, stealth is the best option to protect fragile new lives. The young are ordered to dissolve into the dust, vanishing completely behind a camouflage curtain of dry grass and shadows. This is a tense battle, where absolute silence is the only shield against the keen olfactory senses of death. That that is how the warthog protects its litter from the claws of the lion pride. The predators, having been defeated earlier by the giraffe, are now prowling for a new meal. Hunger does not drive them to recklessness. The hunt always begins with stalking and careful calculation. When the gap closes to less than 30 meters, the hunt truly explodes. Lions can hit speeds of 80 kilometers per hour in mere seconds, but warthogs, they will be safe. The warthog's den is actually the abandoned engineering of the aardvark. A tunnel system reaching 3 meters deep provides a temporary sanctuary. But the lion pride has not given up. Their muscle mass, constituting 60% of their body weight, begins to be put to work. However, the soil of these termite mounds after the rainy season the meal has slipped away by a hair's breadth. Bad luck has not yet released its grip on the lion family in today's hunt. But not every prey animal possesses a ready-made burrow system like the warthog. Sometimes survival compels them to hide out in the middle of with a perfect cloak of invisibility. Its tawny fur blends seamlessly into the dry grass, a phenomenon known as cryptic coloration. The scent glands in its hooves remain inactive for the first few weeks of life. It is virtually invisible to the keen olfactory senses of predators. Its heart rate automatically drops to the bare minimum, reducing noise and heat signature, transforming it into a lifeless stone amidst the grasslands. Movement is the ultimate taboo in this moment. For not far away, a cheetah is scanning every clump of grass. The planet's fastest predator relies heavily on vision. Its eyes are specially structured with a horizontal visual streak, capable of detecting the slightest movement from 5 kilometers away. The gazelle fawn has absolutely no control over its fate. It can only pray the cheetah will overlook its hiding spot. But on the thin line between life and death, maternal love speaks up. The mother gazelle appears to stage a rescue. This is the tactic of distraction behavior. The mother gazelle knows that the cheetah's predatory instinct is triggered by movement. By moving swiftly and conspicuously, she transforms herself into the cheetah halts, panting heavily, overheated and exhausted. As for the gazelle, she has outrun the lightning of the Savanna, though it was no easy feat. A victory born from the perfect union of sacred maternal love and the calculated wisdom of evolution. Returning to the lion pride. Gnawing hunger and wounded pride after failed hunts have driven them to recklessness. They set their sights on the African elephant. Adults are impregnable mobile fortresses weighing up to 6 tons. But the smaller calves, they can be the ideal targets. Lions are acutely aware of the weaknesses of these savanna giants. Their maneuverability is sluggish, and their vision is restricted in low light conditions and absolute ruthlessness. But little do they know the price of this victory is far too high. Which species' maternal instinct and protective defense impressed you the most? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. While the hunters are engrossed in the battlefield, the lion cubs back home are left more vulnerable than ever. a herd of Cape buffalo has encroached upon the territory of the king of the grasslands. Detecting the scent of the enemy, but finding the warrior defenders absent, the herd decides to launch a... Explosive rage erupts as the pride discovers the tragedy, transforming the grief of loss into a frenzied thirst for vengeance. The kings and queens let out an earth-shaking roar, declaring war on the retreating armored legion. But rage is the enemy of reason. In warfare, the one governed by emotion is the one destined for defeat. The phalanx formation is the Cape buffalo's most The once proud lions must now tuck their tails, scrambling up trees or hiding in the bush in utter humiliation. Today, the hunter has become the prey, chased across the very territory they once claimed as their own. The revenge has failed, and the scars on the lion's body will be a permanent reminder of the limits of power. In this savage kingdom, no god is immortal, and even those at the top of the food chain can be dethroned. To maintain a legion capable of challenging the kings, the reproduction of the Cape buffalo is not a matter of chance, but a military strategy. They do not give birth sporadically. They orchestrate the arrival of the next generation simultaneously, creating a massive demographic wave. The timing of mating is calculated with precision to coincide with the end of the rainy season, when nutritional resources are at their peak. The gestation period lasts 11.5 months, one of the longest among herbivores, ensuring the embryo reaches full development. When the first rains fall upon the parched savanna, the buffalo empire welcomes its new recruits. Thousands of calves are born at once, transforming the grasslands into a giant nursery, disrupting the predator's ability to focus. Creation has equipped these tiny warriors with extraordinary survival capabilities from the very first minute. Just 10 minutes after leaving the womb, the calf can stand. 30 minutes later, they are ready to march with the legion. This is not a choice. It is a command. Stand up or die. For the legion never waits for the weak. Buffalo milk contains extremely high levels of fat and protein, fueling rapid muscle growth. The calf's position in the formation is always at the center, encased within multi-layered protective circles. If a calf is threatened, the distress signal triggers a defensive response from the entire clan, regardless of bloodline. Every adult buffalo becomes a bodyguard, ready to fight to the death to protect the future bloodline of the empire. The tight bond between herd members is the ultimate weapon that has allowed the Cape buffalo to survive through millions of years of evolution. They understand that numbers are strength, and every child born today is a spear pointed at the enemy tomorrow. The Black Death Legion continues to grow stronger, preparing for the endless wars of the wildlands. Cape buffalo and lion. Who do you think is the most terrifying ruler of the wild savanna? Leave a comment below and let's see how many people agree with you. In the brutal arena of the savanna, motherhood is a tender vocation, but also a fierce military campaign. Amidst this deadly landscape, pregnancy is a gamble, and rearing the young is a war waged against the entire world. Enemies arrive not only with sharp fangs and claws from the outside, but sometimes from within their own ranks. the elements, and the treachery of nature itself. Every species has developed unique reproductive strategies. This is how they ensure the continuity of their bloodline. Here, maternal love is measured by sacrifice, ruthlessness, and the capacity to kill, all to protect the next generation. On the sandbanks of the Lifeblood River, the reptilian queen performs her most sacred and terrifying ritual. The Nile crocodile, a killing machine that has existed since prehistoric times. They begin the war to protect their lineage, not with blood, but with temperature. The gender of the next generation is dictated by the heat of the sand. It is the sophisticated mechanism of temperature-dependent sex determination. If the nest temperature is between 31 and 34 degrees Celsius, male warriors will be born. And outside of this range, the eggs will hatch into female queens. During the 3 months of incubation, the mother crocodile transforms herself into a living fortress. She fasts completely to continuously guard the treasure buried beneath the sand. The chirping calls emitting from the earth are the first signal of the emergence of the new crocodile generation. And here, the most miraculous and paradoxical moment in nature takes place. Jaws with a bite force of 5,000 pounds per square inch, capable of crushing buffalo bone, become the gentlest cradle. The mother scoops up dozens of fragile hatchlings. Tactile sensors in her palate are so sensitive that they do not scratch the delicate skin of the newborns. Her mouth becomes the submarine transporting the hatchlings to the water, and also the first line of defense against brutal nature. The rivers of Central Africa are not a paradise. They are a grim battlefield where the mortality rate of hatchlings reaches 99% in the first year of life. Nile perch, storks, and even other adult male crocodiles are always lurking to commit acts of cannibalism. The mother must become a sleepless bodyguard, ready to tear apart anyone who dares to approach her brood hiding in the reeds. Beneath those same murky waters, hippos embark on an arduous reproductive journey. Mother hippos, giants weighing up to 1.5 tons, give birth directly in the water to escape the scorching heat and terrestrial predators. The birth of a hippo calf is a suffocating race for oxygen. The moment it is born, the calf must execute its first push to the surface to take a breath. A mere moment of delay, and its lungs will be flooded forever. That is the first challenge creation has bestowed upon them. But the real threat does not come from crocodiles or lions. It is their own kind that the mother and calf must fear. Dominant bulls are often extremely aggressive, viewing calves that are not their own as an eyesore to be eliminated. Infanticide is a constantly haunting ghost, forcing the mother to isolate herself from the pod to protect her child. And that is when the power of maternal love reigns supreme. Driven by protective instinct, the mother hippo transforms into a frenzied tank. She is ready to wield 50-centimeter tusks to attack anyone, even males twice her size. Conversely, when danger passes, she reveals her gentle nature. Mother's milk is pumped directly underwater, rich in nutrients, to turn the 50-kilogram infant into a massive monster in the shortest time possible. When moving on land, the calf always walks close to its mother's flank, shielded by a wall of flesh and fat tens of centimeters thick. In the world of the hippo, motherly love is rage. It is violence employed to establish an absolute safety zone. There is no negotiation, only a line between life and death, drawn by the fury of the river's greatest mother. However, the fury of the hippo is not yet the most terrifying. For in the dense thickets of the savanna, the black rhinoceros still lurks like a giant phantom. Unlike their white rhino brethren who live in herds, they are solitary assassins. Their life is a sequence of days spent in hiding, paranoid, and always in a state of combat readiness. A gestation period dragging on for 15 to 16 months is the time the mother prepares for the birth of a perfect replica. The black rhino calf is born with heightened alertness, inheriting the aggressive nature of the clan. A unique tactical trait distinguishes them from the white rhino. The calf always walks behind the mother. This allows the mother, with her keen hearing but poor vision, to act as the vanguard, clearing the path. The mother rhino is a living shield, absorbing all danger from the front. Thanks to this, her offspring are protected in the safe rear. This bond lasts up to 4 years, a record amount of time for the mother to teach the art of survival in the shadows. They teach the calf how to distinguish toxic plants, how to find underground water sources, and most importantly, how to attack before being attacked. Black rhinos are famous for their unprovoked rages, charging at termite mounds, trees, or even vehicles, all to ensure no threat is overlooked. But that aggression does not stem from malice, but originates from a cruel curse of creation. Blindness. The vision of these armored tanks is so poor that everything beyond 30 meters is merely a blurry ghost. They cannot distinguish between a harmless bush and a stalking lion. Hesitation equals death, so they always proactively attack when sensing any anomaly. Super-sensitive smell and hearing signal danger to the black rhino, but the eyes cannot confirm it, forcing the body to activate combat mode immediately. For the black rhino, it is better to mistakenly kill a lifeless rock than to let a dangerous predator slip through the net. That unprovoked rage is, in reality, the desperate shield of a solitary warrior trying to protect life in the darkness. The danger of the black rhino is one of the primary reasons they earned their rank in the Big Five of wild Africa. This is the roster of the 5 most dangerous and difficult to hunt animals. It originated in the 19th and 20th centuries among Western big game hunters. The list includes African lion, the perfect ambusher, ready to charge the hunter even when gravely wounded. Leopard, the elusive ghost, intelligent, vindictive, and capable of dragging the enemy's corpse up a tree. African elephant, a massive fury, capable of crushing a hunter with a single strike of its trunk. Black rhinoceros, the blind tank, attacking anything that moves with uncontrollable aggression. Cape buffalo, the Black Death, the animal that has killed the most hunters, famous for its behavior of ambushing the stalker. Today, the name Big Five has shed the bloody coat of the past to become a symbol of tourism and conservation. But deep down, this title remains a reminder of supreme authority. These are the ones who never easily bow their heads to death. But the brutality of the reproductive war is not limited to any specific species. Small creatures like the meerkat are a prime example. Do not let their diminutive appearance deceive you. The society of these meerkats is one of the most brutal dictatorships on the Savanna. Power is concentrated absolutely in the hands of a single female, the alpha queen, the matriarch. In this clan, motherhood is a privilege, not a basic right for every member. To ensure resources for her own offspring, the queen is willing to commit acts of chilling cruelty. She suppresses the reproductive capabilities of subordinate females using violence and stress-inducing pheromones. If a subordinate dares to get pregnant, the queen will exile the traitor from the burrow, pushing her into the deadly jaws of the desert. If those pups are born, the queen will ensure they do not survive to adulthood. On the other hand, other females are forced to nurse and protect the bloodline of the leader. The training of the young also bears a distinct military tone. Meerkats are the only species that actively teach their young how to kill. Adults bring back scorpions with their stingers bitten off, tossing them to the pups to practice combat skills. They create tiny warriors, knowing how to face venom and death from the moment they are weaned. Under the iron rule of the queen, the meerkat clan operates like a well-oiled machine, where the individual must sacrifice for the benefit of the leader. Atop the thorny canopy of acacia trees, an aerial fortress is erected by a bird with strangely long legs, the secretary bird. They do not coddle their young like other weak avian species. They do not just feed them food, they feed them the skills of an assassin. The secretary bird's nest spans up to 2.5 meters wide. This is not a cradle, it is a training arena for the future destroyers of the ground. From the moment they hatch, the chicks are nourished with the fresh meat of venomous snakes and lizards. The mother provides not only sustenance, but also passes down the most terrifying biological weapon, the kick of death. Those slender long legs are, in reality, hydraulic pistons, capable of delivering a kick with a force 5 times their body weight. The strike is so fast, it takes only 15 milliseconds to make contact, 10 times faster than the blink of a human eye. The chicks practice this motion daily in the nest, stomping on insects and small reptiles. They must learn to pinpoint the skull of a venomous snake to deliver the killing blow before the snake can strike back. There is no room for error. A missed kick means being injected with deadly venom. When they leave the nest, they are not bewildered fledglings. They have become professional infantry, marching across the ground to hunt for death. Motherhood here is about armament, transforming her offspring into the rulers of reptilian fear. Amidst the chaos of the outside world, the Hornbill family chooses to construct a doomsday bunker for survival. Their reproductive strategy is voluntary imprisonment, an absolute sacrifice of freedom by the mother. Once a suitable tree hollow is found, the female climbs inside and begins to seal herself in using mud, feces, and mashed fruit. She constructs a fortified wall, leaving only a narrow slit just wide enough to pass her beak through. Inside that cramped, dark dungeon, the mother undergoes a total molt, becoming naked and completely flightless. They are wagering their lives and the lives of their chicks on the loyalty of a single individual, the male outside. The father becomes the sole provider, making hundreds of trips a day to feed the entire family through the tiny slot. If the male dies or abandons them, the family behind the wall will starve to death, transforming the nest into a collective tomb. This dependence is the greatest gamble of trust in the animal kingdom. Inside the darkness, the chicks grow up absolutely safe from snakes, monkeys, and hawks. When the young are large enough, the mother breaks down the wall, stepping out into the world with new plumage, completing the mission of a magnificent prisoner. In the moral realm of humans, the cuckoo is the most despicable villain. But in the wild, they are geniuses. The mother bird builds no nest, incubates no eggs. They spend their entire lives surveillance and decoding the cipher of the host species. Once the intelligence is gathered, they lay their eggs in another's nest with a mimicry capability so perfect it is terrifying. This is an evolutionary arms race, where the con artist is always one step ahead of the victim. The true crime begins when the cuckoo chick hatches, often days earlier than the host's offspring. Though blind, raw, and weak, the instinct of an assassin surges through its veins. Using a specially developed hollow in its back, it painstakingly heaves every single host egg out of the nest, sending them crashing to the ground to shatter. It executes a cold-blooded massacre of its foster siblings to monopolize the food supply from the foster parents. But the title for the most sophisticated and calculated reproductive strategy perhaps belongs to the ostrich. They do not incubate eggs singly. They create a massive communal nest, holding up to 60 eggs. The one holding the reins of power is the queen, the major hen, the primary consort of the dominant male. The major hen permits lower-ranking females, the minor hens, to lay their eggs in the same nest under her rule. At first glance, this seems like generous cooperation, but in reality, it is a ruthless meat shield strategy. The queen, with sharp instinct, will push her own eggs to the safest center of the nest. The eggs of other females are shoved to the outer periphery, acting as biological armor. If egg thieves like jackals or hyenas attack, they will consume the eggs at the edge first, the offspring of the weak. The sacrifice of the many is used to ensure the safety of the royal bloodline located in the center. When danger threatens the hatched chicks, the mother ostrich immediately executes the broken wing tactic. She runs clumsily, one wing dragging on the ground. The main goal is to draw the predator's attention, luring them far away from the brood. In this high-stakes game, intellect and cruel arrangement are utilized to maximize the chance of survival in the open lands full of death. The savanna welcomes its fragile newborns in many harsh ways. But that is merely the beginning. Countless young ones, shortly after birth, are immediately swept into the greatest migration on the planet. This is not a leisurely excursion to a promised land. It is the most brutal march in wild Africa. Over 2 million souls are forced into a 3,000-kilometer circle of death to outrun starvation. For the newly enlisted recruits, there is no concept of childhood or mercy. They are born mid-March, and their baptism is one of road dust, rushing currents, and enemy claws. The Mara River is not a source of cool refreshment, but a mass grave where death lies in wait beneath the silt. Only those possessing the most superior genetics earn the right to witness tomorrow's dawn. In the chaotic legion of the migration, the plain zebra are the vanguard knights. They lead the way using excellent geographic memory. Their social structure is not a faceless herd, but tight-knit family squads, headed by the stallion, who holds the power of life and death and provides absolute protection. Zebra foals are born with legs nearly as long as their mothers, a biological design allowing them to race immediately. Within just 15 minutes of touching the ground, they must stand. Within 1 hour, they must reach a full gallop. But movement alone is not enough. Zebras need defensive methods to counter predators on the road. That is their magical black and white striped coat. That coat is a visual weapon known as motion dazzle. When the herd moves, thousands of stripes merge to form a massive optical illusion. Predators like lions suffer from visual disruption, unable to distinguish individual targets from the hallucinatory mass. But the most devastating threat to a zebra foal sometimes comes not from lions, but from its own kind. If the dominant stallion is defeated by a usurper, tragedy strikes the young ones. The victor will not hesitate to bite or trample to death the offspring of the old king. He wants to wipe out the enemy's bloodline and force the females back into the reproductive cycle to carry his genes. In this moment, the mother zebra faces a cruel choice. Fight a hopeless battle to protect her child, or submit to the new tyrant. On the migration route, the foal is always sandwiched within the formation. Mother leads. Father brings up the rear, ready to unleash a deadly rear kick. They are warriors, forged in the furnace of betrayal and speed. Under the pathfinding of the zebras, the mightiest army of the Great Migration marches confidently. The blue wildebeest, the main character, the most numerous infantry class in this great crusade. Their survival strategy is the swamping strategy, flooding the predator market with overwhelming numbers. 80% of the calves are born simultaneously within 2 to 3 weeks, creating a population explosion that shakes the steppe. No matter how actively lions and hyenas hunt, they cannot consume all of these 500,000 newborn souls. Wildebeest calves are among the most precocial creatures in the natural world. Their muscles are programmed to function immediately. They can run faster than a human just 7 minutes after birth. With no hiding places in the vast open plains, the only safety lies in sticking close to their mother's shadow. The nervous system of the young operates on a powerful imprinting mechanism in the first few hours. They will follow any large moving object in front of them. Sometimes they make fatal mistakes, confusing their mothers with tourist vehicles or even lions. On the journey across the Mara River, these children must face the gauntlet of death. Rushing currents, sheer cliffs, and waiting crocodile jaws turn the river into a meat grinder. Thousands of calves break their legs, drown, or are trampled by their own panicked kin. Their mothers, despite the pain, cannot stop. The rule of the army is move or die. The children who survive the river of blood do not do so by luck, but through endurance and an extraordinary will to survive. They are the fuel maintaining the flame of the migration, the necessary sacrifice for the Wildebeest empire to exist. Amidst the massive torrent of blue wildebeest, the eland rise like towering giants. They are the largest antelope in Africa. A male eland can weigh up to 1 ton, possessing enough muscular power to toss a lioness into the air. The rearing strategy of these titans relies not on quantity, but on quality and collective guardianship. Instead of clinging to their mothers at all times, eland calves are gathered into crowded and tight-knit nurseries. This is a militarized model of upbringing, where the children are guarded by a few selected nannies. Separating the young allows mothers time to seek high-quality forage to produce milk. Eland milk is a superfood, containing fat and protein levels 3 times higher than cow's milk. This dense energy source helps eland calves grow at rocket speed, quickly reaching a safe size. In the nursery, the young learn to socialize and form alliances from an early age. Despite their immense size, eland remain targets for predators. However, attacking an eland fortress is no easy task. Adult elands form a defensive circle, horns pointing outward, shielding the future generation in the center. They are capable of jumping 2.5 meters from a standing start, a display of power that terrifies the enemy. The eland teaches the savanna a lesson. Size is an advantage, but disciplined organization is the key to invincibility. Meanwhile, the topee antelope are fanatics about genetic perfection. During the breeding season, the males transform the grasslands into a lek, a veritable Roman Colosseum. Each male claims a small patch of land, marking his territory with secretions and standing atop termite mounds to flaunt his power. They fight furiously, horns clashing loudly to seize the center of the arena, the most prime real estate. The females only choose to mate with the winning gladiators in the center, ensuring their offspring carry the blood of a champion. Topee calves are born as the crystallization of the most dominant genes: speed, stamina, and aggression. Unlike the wildebeest, the topee calf undergoes a short lying out phase before joining the race. Their dark reddish-brown fur blends perfectly with the clay and dry grass, transforming them into lifeless rocks. But once they rise, they are the F1 race cars of the antelope world, capable of maintaining high speeds over long distances. Far removed from the thundering hooves of the ungulates, within the dark crevices of the rocks, a cold-blooded mother is executing her mission. The Central African rock python, a reptile stretching up to 6 meters, is the embodiment of a nightmare for every living creature, humans included. But contrary to the general reptilian instinct of abandonment, the mother python is a guardian devoted to the extreme. After laying up to 100 eggs, the mother does not leave. She coils her massive body around the clutch, creating a living wall of flesh. This is a massive biological incubator. Despite being ectothermic, cold-blooded, the mother possesses the ability to self-generate heat by continuously shivering her muscles. This action burns a tremendous amount of energy, and the mother accepts complete fasting during the entire 3 months of incubation. Her body becomes gaunt, her skin wrinkled, but the predator's gaze remains razor-sharp, ready to launch a death strike. Any egg thief, from monitor lizards to wild dogs, daring to approach will be crushed within a 1,000-pound constriction. When the eggs hatch, 60-centimeter hatchlings emerge, carrying the full venom of cruelty and assassin instincts. The mother's protection ends here. The mother python has drained her strength to bring them to the threshold of life. These tiny assassins disperse, beginning their independent hunting careers from day one. They are time bombs planted in the ecosystem, destined to grow up and swallow whole both antelopes and crocodiles. High in the upper atmosphere, where the air is thin and vision commands a view of hundreds of miles, the martial eagle reigns like a solitary emperor. This is the largest eagle in Africa, with a wingspan wide enough to blot out the sun and sharp talons capable of crushing a monkey's skull. Their reproductive strategy is high investment, high risk, defying the law of quantity followed by prey species. This pair of sky overlords lays only a single egg every 2 years. Their nest is not a hastily woven basket, but a massive fortress perched atop the highest tree of the savanna. The eaglet is born like a crown prince, enjoying the finest resources from its parents. Throughout the first 3 months, the father assumes the role of provider, delivering fresh meat ranging from venomous snakes to small antelopes. The mother patiently tears off small pieces of meat, feeding her only child with the tenderness of a queen. But this pampering has a purpose. It is to train a perfect killing machine to succeed the aerial throne. The dependency period lasts nearly 1 year, a record time in the avian world. The child must learn to control massive wings and how to exploit thermals to soar without expending energy. Ultimately, the true winner of the Great Migration is neither the lion nor the antelope. It is the scavengers, the white-backed vulture. They do not participate in the race. They stand high above, observing and waiting for the failure of others. The white-backed vulture does not breed in the shadows. They construct aerial cities, colonies of nests atop acacia trees. Vulture chicks grow up amidst the scent of death, nourished by the rotting flesh of those who have fallen in the war for survival. Their stomach is a chemical reactor with extreme acidity, capable of digesting even anthrax bacteria and the plague. The vulture parents are diligent and ruthless sanitation workers. They soar hundreds of kilometers daily in search of carcasses. When an antelope falls, the signal spreads through the air, and the sky darkens with hundreds of black wings. The vulture chick must learn the most important lesson. That is patience and hierarchy at the banquet of blood. They must know to yield to larger species like the lappet-faced vulture to tear open the thick skin before rushing in for their share. Competition in the nest is equally fierce. The food source depends entirely on the death toll on the ground. If the savanna is peaceful, vultures will starve. That is why they pray for war, disease, and drought. The survival of the new vulture generation is proof of a dark truth. One's death is another's life. They are the final notes in the tragic symphony of the wild savanna. They clean the battlefield to prepare for a new cycle of life. While the weak seek safety in the chaotic herd, the apex assassins choose the solitary path. In the savage kingdom, solitude is not a sign of sorrow, but the pinnacle of survival strategy. They are phantoms, shadows gliding through the night, leaving no trace and needing no allies. Their existence is a pact with silence, where every mistake is paid for with their own lives. For these single mothers, raising offspring is a near impossible mission, acting as both hunter and protector. They have no pride to rely on. They have only razor-sharp instincts and weapons honed by millions of years of evolution. The leopard is the perfect embodiment of stealth and coiled muscular power. They are the most widely distributed of the big cats, yet remain the most elusive, the true phantoms of the jungle. A female leopard's life is forever altered when she carries the bloodline of the next generation. She seeks out deep rock crevices or the densest thorny thickets to transform into a hidden fortress. Born blind and helpless, the cubs are the savanna's most precious yet vulnerable treasures. For the first 10 days, the mother becomes a willing prisoner, rarely leaving the den so she can keep her tiny charges warm. But hunger is a cruel warden, forcing the queen of the night to leave her offspring defenseless to hunt. This is when death comes knocking. 50% of cubs never survive their first year. Their scent attracts mortal enemies, lions and hyenas, killers who strike not out of hunger but to eliminate the competition. To counter this, the mother adopts a strategy of constant movement, shifting dens every few days to erase their trail. As the cubs grow, she teaches them the most vital survival skill, the vertical retreat. Unique shoulder structure and rippling muscles allow the leopard to hoist prey 3 times its own weight up a vertical trunk. The tree becomes a private kingdom, an inviolable sanctuary against the lions and hyenas prowling below. The cubs learn to turn precarious boughs into a playground, and later the world's safest dining table. If the leopard relies on stealth, the honey badger survives on manic aggression and reckless disregard for life. Recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the most fearless creature on the planet, they are the true hooligans of the wild. The single mother honey badger possesses the mentality of a Viking warrior, better a glorious death than a life of shame. The cub is born in a makeshift burrow, blind, naked, and pathetically weak. But the blood coursing through its veins carries a superior venom-resistant genome, forged over millennia. From the moment they take their first steps, the first lesson is not flight, but confrontation. The mother teaches her cub to dig with terrifying speed, transforming the earth into a bunker in mere minutes. She drags back scorpions, toxic centipedes, and cobras as live combat drills for her child. The cub learns to crush the venomous snake's head before the toxin can be pumped into its bloodstream. If bitten, their body falls into a temporary coma to allow the immune system to neutralize the toxin, only to revive and finish eating the enemy's corpse. In the tall grasses and waterlogged marshlands, another phantom glides, not by brute force, but by precision. The serval is a masterpiece of genetic engineering, possessing the longest legs in the felid family relative to body size. But their ultimate weapon is their oversized ears, acting like 2 military radar dishes scanning every sound frequency. The mother serval is an architect of patience, raising her offspring in dense, concealed grass nests. Unlike the leopard hunting big game, the serval focuses on tiny but elusive targets, rodents. Their hunting success rate reaches 50%, double that of lions, thanks to the death from above technique. The young serval is trained by its mother in a firing range of tall grass, where vision becomes useless. They must learn to close their eyes and see with their hearing, pinpointing the rustle of a mouse dozens of meters away. When the target is locked, the serval executes a vertical leap up to 3 meters high, then plunges down like a missile. The forepaws slam into the ground to stun the prey, followed by a precise bite to the skull. The mother teaches her young. In this world, you don't need to be the biggest. You just need to be the fastest and the most precise. But the serval's life is also fraught with danger. They are predators, but also prey for eagles and leopards. The mother must remain on high alert, her ears rotating 180 degrees, constantly to listen for the beating wings of death from above. When the cubs are 6 months old, they possess permanent canines and the skills of a sniper. By this time, the mother drives them away, forcing them to seek new wetlands to continue the mission of the living radars. They are a testament to nature's finesse. A killing machine wrapped in an exterior of elegance and grace. In the gentle morning light, the swift steps of the African wild dog glide across the dry grasslands, silent yet full of determination. They move in packs, each individual holding a strategic position, eyes fixed on every movement in the savanna. As the largest wild canid in Africa, they are solitary in strength, but survive through flawless coordination among pack members. Their bond is so strong that if an individual is separated from the pack, it can experience extreme stress, even succumbing to broken heart syndrome. The lineage of the African wild dog dates back millions of years, diverging from a common ancestor with the Canis genus and evolving into a highly efficient predator. They are distinguished by powerful jaws and razor-sharp teeth specialized for a fully carnivorous diet. Unlike wolves or hyenas, they lack retractable claws, which gives them an advantage in maintaining high-speed endurance while chasing prey. Known for their striking coat patterns, each individual has a unique fur pattern like nature's own artwork, with no two dogs looking exactly alike. Within the ecosystem of Kruger National Park, the African wild dog population has dwindled to just around 400 individuals, a concerning figure. Habitat loss, human expansion, hunting, and diseases transmitted from domestic dogs have all contributed to an uncertain future for the species. African wild dogs live in stable packs, typically ranging from 2 to 27 individuals, with a well-defined hierarchy. Unlike most carnivores, males remain in the pack upon maturity, while females disperse. This system helps maintain genetic diversity and reduces the risk of inbreeding. With a hunting success rate of up to 80%, they surpass all other large predators in Africa. Meanwhile, herds of Cape buffalo continue moving across the vast grasslands, their massive bodies creating an unshakable presence in the savanna. With their powerful build, males can weigh up to 870 kilograms, making them one of Africa's largest herbivores and one of the most influential species in the ecosystem. The evolutionary history of Cape buffalo spans millions of years, sharing ancestry with the Asian water buffalo and other wild bovines. Unlike wild yaks or wild water buffalo, which gave rise to domesticated cattle, Cape buffalo has never been tamed. Their aggressive temperament, unpredictable nature, and strong resistance make them one of the most difficult wild animals to control. With a stocky frame and short yet muscular legs, Cape buffalo is shorter than some other large bovine species, but has a heavier and more powerful forebody. Their broad front hooves help support their massive head and shoulders, while their curved horns form an almost impenetrable defense against predators. Their heads are always held low, with the skull crest positioned below the spine, giving them a distinctive posture, always ready to charge at any threat. Herd structure plays a crucial role in their survival strategy. Large herds can consist of hundreds of individuals, offering protection against predators. Calves and weaker individuals remain at the center, while strong adults form an outer ring to counter potential threats. When pursued, the herd does not always flee. Instead, they may turn back and confront their attackers, making even top predators like the African lion cautious. Lions frequently hunt Cape buffalo, but even in groups, they require precise coordination to bring down an adult buffalo. In many cases, the herd retaliates, forcing lions into a vulnerable position and sometimes turning the hunters into the hunted. Across the vast open grassland with low mopane of Kruger National Park, herds of blue wildebeest move relentlessly, following the endless rhythm of nature. Each step they take sends tremors through the ground, their muscular bodies covered in a thin layer of dust under the blazing sun. Migration is the cornerstone of the blue wildebeest's survival strategy. They can travel up to 80 kilometers in just 5 days without drinking water, extracting moisture from grass and mopane stems. Their physiological system is designed to sustain endurance in arid conditions. With 62.6% of their energy efficiently converted into movement, their bodies operate at peak performance, minimizing heat loss. Their body temperature can rise to 38 degrees Celsius by midday, but their biological regulation allows them to keep moving without being affected by extreme heat. The life cycle of the blue wildebeest follows a fixed rhythm. They spend over half the day resting, 33% grazing, and 12% moving. When the sun reaches its peak, they seek shelter under scattered mopane trees, reducing water loss before continuing their journey at dawn or dusk. Herds communicate through gestures and deep vocalizations, forming a tightly knit social structure that enhances survival against lurking dangers. However, their journey is not always smooth. African lions, spotted hyenas, and cheetahs constantly watch, waiting for the slightest misstep to strike. When pursued, blue wildebeest do not scatter chaotically, but maintain a tight formation, creating a moving wall that makes it difficult for predators to single out a target. Weaker individuals and calves are protected at the center, while stronger adults hold the outer positions, shielding the herd from attacks. Further north in Kruger National Park, The Pafuri and Makuleka regions open up a different world, where riverine ecosystems create lush green forests interwoven with arid grasslands. This was once the settlement of the Makuleka tribe, a community that lived in harmony with nature for centuries. The surrounding rock formations still preserve ancient rock paintings, where prehistoric people depicted their lives through images of hunting and rituals. Throughout the 19th century, the Makuleke people developed a riverside agricultural system, relying on the flow of the Luvuvu River for farming and fishing. Today, it has become a protected natural reserve, managed by the local community itself. The climate of the far northern Sandveld is drier than other areas of Kruger. Annual rainfall averages around 200 millimeters, significantly lower than in the park's central regions. This aridity has given rise to highly adapted ecosystems, where flora and fauna have evolved to endure harsh conditions. During the rainy season, from October to March, riverine wetlands swell with water, attracting a multitude of animals seeking sustenance. But as the dry season stretches from April to September, the waters recede, leaving behind cracked earth and forcing wildlife to migrate toward deeper water sources. As the blood-red sun descends below the horizon, darkness swallows the savanna, yet the battle never ends. In this savage kingdom, mother is not a synonym for gentleness, but a title bestowed upon the greatest of warriors. Motherhood here is not woven from soothing lullabies, but forged in scorching fire, thorny dust, and the fangs of enemies. It is the ultimate sacrifice, where mothers willingly exchange their own existence to ensure a single fragile heartbeat continues to pulse. From the Titan forest elephant to the diminutive meerkat queen, all share a singular mission: to defy the extinction stalking them every second. They teach us that in this indifferent and cruel world, love is the most powerful act of rebellion against death itself. The survivors of today are not merely the result of luck, but a legacy purchased with the blood and resilience of those who came before. They are living proof that even in the deepest darkness, the flame of life burns more fiercely than ever. Standing before such primal and magnificent sacrifice, ask yourself one final question. When darkness encroaches and death comes knocking, how far would you go to protect your own bloodline? If this saga of survival and courage has awakened the warrior instinct within you, make your mark. Hit like to honor the great mothers who have fallen. Share to spread this legend to even more distant lands. And do not forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell to continue witnessing the battles for survival in the vast savanna in the future.